Hello, and welcome to Tobin Daily. I'm JNS Editor-in-Chief Jonathan Tobin. Thanks for joining me for another discussion on the most pressing issues in the Jewish world. Please like, subscribe, and give us good reviews when you listen to the show. Now let's get started. New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft is an exemplary member of the American Jewish community. Over the years, he has donated a great deal of money to Jewish causes, locally in his hometown of Boston and in the state of Israel, even building a football stadium in Jerusalem. The National Football League magnate's philanthropy testifies to his own strong sense of Jewish peoplehood, in addition to a decent concern for others less fortunate than himself, as shown by his family's support for a variety of educational and healthcare causes. Among the efforts he has supported is the Foundation to Combat Antisemitism, FCAS, which he founded with money he pledged as a result of his winning the Genesis Prize in 2019. The idea behind the foundation was to fight the movement to boycott, divest, sanction Israel, as well as other efforts to battle Jew hatred. The campaign itself was marked by a bright blue square with a moniker called the Blue Blocks Campaign that urges standing up to hate. But for all of his various efforts on behalf of that important cause, probably none gained as much attention as the FCAS advertisement that appeared during the Super Bowl this past Sunday. It featured two mega celebrities, rapper and actor Snoop Dogg, and NFL great Tom Brady, who won 7 Super Bowls, including 6 for Kraft's Patriots. In it, they spout various reasons why people hate each other before concluding that, quote, things are so bad that we have to do a commercial about it, before the two walk off together in a gesture of amity. Though it was sponsored by an organization specifically aimed at combating anti-Semitism, at no point in the 30-second advertisement, which cost Kraft's group reportedly $8 million to purchase, was the word mentioned, nor were the words Jew or Jewish. That's a colossal mistake, as well as a missed opportunity that Kraft and anyone else who cares about the issue should deeply regret. While no one should doubt the good intentions of Kraft, the 30-second blurb sums up everything that is wrong with the mindset and the efforts of liberal American Jewish efforts to deal with the problem. Indeed, if that's the best that FCAS can manage, then Kraft would be well advised to close it up and transfer the money he's currently wasting on it to those interested in fighting anti-Semitism in a way that will make a difference. Part of the problem was the employment of Snoop Dogg. While he may be famous and a ubiquitous figure in pop culture and ads for all sorts of products, he's also a well-known anti-Semite. As the Americans for Peace and Tolerance group noted in its criticism of the ad, he is an avowed supporter of the anti-Semitic Nation of Islam group and its 91-year-old leader Louis Farrakhan, who has done more than anyone to spread Jew hatred among American blacks and Muslims. Using him in a spot sponsored by a group that cares about anti-Semitism wasn't mere negligence, but a betrayal of the values that Kraft has always exemplified. There was more than that was wrong about it, other than Snoop Dogg. The underlying premise was a decision to try to universalize the problem rather than one that would specifically focus on the issue of anti-Semitism. That's based on an assumption that talking about anti-Semitism and Jews is a turnoff to a broad audience like the one that tunes into the Super Bowl. The NFL championship game is the most watched television program every year, an event that has assumed the status of a secular holiday. This year's show reportedly attracted an average audience of 126 million viewers throughout the contest, with a peak of 135.7 million watching, with the halftime show featuring rapper Kendrick Lamar being a major draw. With that in mind, the FCAS produced an ad that was supposed to appeal to the widest possible audience and therefore went all in on universalizing the problem. This is the same premise of most Holocaust education programs that have been employed in the United States in the past few decades. They are rooted in the belief that the only way anyone can be deterred from hating Jews is to depict the Holocaust and anti-Semitism as essentially no different than any other form of prejudice. In this way, as the FCAS ads seem to be telling us, Jew hatred is no different from disliking any group or people other than the majority. The solution then is for everyone to play nicely with each other, the way Snoop and Brady, a black celebrity and a white one, appear willing to do. But if history, as well as the present-day surge in Jew hatred teaches, it is that anti-Semitism is not like other varieties of prejudice, be they major or minor. It is a specific virus of hate that targets Jews not merely as a function of bad behavior or a lack of awareness of our common humanity, but as a means of acquiring and holding on to political power. To anti-Semites of every variety, be they left-wing, right-wing Islamists, and yes, blacks, Jews aren't merely the other. They are in the crosshairs to be despised and subjected to singular prejudice and discrimination, no matter their age, background, what they do, or where they reside. They are instead an almost superhuman force for evil that must be eradicated. They alone are to be denied rights that even other discriminated minorities are given. And in so doing, various groups can wield power and pretend to be forces for good. That is why anti-Semitism is such a contagious and adaptable virus. It is, as scholar Ruth Weiss has noted, the most successful ideology of modern times, since it has attached itself to a variety of movements, including fascism, communism, socialism, Islamists, and in our own day in contemporary America, woke ideologues who pretend to be anti-racists. The latter claims to be defending minorities against Jews who are white oppressors as part of a struggle against racism that can never end. And, just as was true of the German Nazis and their collaborators, anything that can be justified if it constitutes resistance to the Jews or the Jewish state, even the atrocities of October 7, 2023, committed by the Hamas terrorist group and other Palestinian Arabs. That is why, rather than provoking sympathy for the Jewish state and Jews around the world, the October 7th spree of mass murder, torture, rape, and kidnapping in southern communities in Israel inspired an unprecedented surge in anti-Semitism. In the face of such ideological fanaticism, merely telling people to be nice, as that Super Bowl ad did, does nothing. Such universalization trivializes the Holocaust. The same can be said for efforts that treat the widespread rationalization and even defense of anti-Semitic acts of intimidation and violence on American college campuses. What makes this particularly disappointing is that last year's FCAS Super Bowl ad was not so wrong-headed. Their 2024 version featured Clarence B. Jones, a former speechwriter for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., speaking against generic hate. Yet the images that appeared on the screen while he spoke were specific in that they showed swastika graffiti on Jewish institutions and signs that spoke of the need to fight anti-Semitism. It left no doubt of the particular problem that only a few months after October 7th, as Jew hatred spread on campuses and in the streets of major U.S. cities, the country was facing. Interestingly, since then, Jones has broken with Kraft and the FCAS over what he depicts as insufferable Jewish demands for loyalty. Sadly, like many in the African-American community, he seems to think that a request to support the struggle of the Jewish people against the genocidal Islamists of Hamas is a bridge too far. In a USA Today op-ed in which Jones vented his resentment against his former allies, he blamed the refusal of Israelis and their American Jewish supporters for the collapse of the alliance between blacks and Jews that flowered during Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s time. In doing so, he not only embraces classic tropes of anti-Semitism like dual loyalty, but also seems to think that Hamas's efforts to accomplish the mass murder of Jews and destroy the one Jewish state on the planet is the sort of thing that friends should be willing to agree to disagree over, rather than a patently evil cause. As depressing as it is for a civil rights era veteran to write such things, it's equally true that he, and those who might agree with him, is an ally not worth having. But we've seen also why the timid universalizers of the FASCs are dead wrong about the American people. Contrary to the stereotypes spread by the political left, the American people as a whole are not anti-Semitic, nor are they irredeemably racist against blacks, Hispanics, or other minorities. And as the election results last November showed, they don't much appreciate the lectures of sermonizing liberals who talk down to them and think that their patriotism and most cherished values and beliefs are racist or expressions of prejudice. The universalizing of the battle against anti-Semitism plays right into the lies of the most prevalent form of American bigotry against Jews. It is true that the last 16 months of brazen anti-Semitism and the mainstreaming efforts to rationalize and even justify it in the mainstream liberal corporate media have presented new and unique challenges for Jews. But the response of most Americans, which is to say those who live outside the woke leftist bubble in which much of the press and other cultural elites live, is support for Israel and anger at the students and other activists who chant for the genocide of Jews from the river to the sea and terrorism against them, globalize the Intifada. President Donald Trump may only have the support of the approximate half of the electorate that voted him into office, but he speaks for the vast majority of the country that supports Israel and believes that foreigners who use their student visas to engage in anti-Israel and anti-American protests, encampments, and often violent-like behavior should be deported. Jews and the groups that purport to speak for them, as well as to lead the fight against anti-Semitism, like Kraft's FCAS, ought not to buy into the idea that America is full of hate. In this way, the Super Bowl ad was just another version of those ubiquitous lawn signs that say, "Hate has no home here," as if to imply that those who don't engage in such liberal virtue signaling are haters. Trump, whose executive orders against anti-Semitism and full-throated support of Israel aren't couched in amorphous platitudes like that of the 2025 Super Bowl ad, has had no trouble in identifying the sources of the current surge in anti-Semitism. Like him, they ought to be exposing the Jew haters and countering lies about Israel and the Jewish people that are integral to the left's toxic myths of critical race theory, intersectionality, and the woke catechism of diversity, equity, and inclusion that are the root of the problem. If they did, they might find that most Americans don't need to be shamed into uniting against anti-Semitism, but would instead readily support an unapologetic campaign to back Israel and join the fight to roll back the woke tide fueling much of contemporary American anti-Semitism. The Super Bowl ad will soon be forgotten, but the decision to run something like it demonstrated just how clueless even well-meaning establishment figures like Kraft are when it comes to the world's oldest form of prejudice. It's a reminder that rather than relying on legacy groups and celebrity-driven foundations like that of Kraft, it is long past time to get rid of such organizations and pour Jewish philanthropic dollars into the hands of those able to think clearly about the problem. Jews need to stop their reflexive desire to universalize their tribulations, and even more, to stop blaming all of the American people for the transgressions of the leftist elites. Thanks for listening. Please remember to tune in every day for Jonathan Tobin Daily Edition and every week for Think Twice, my full-length JNS TV program. Whether you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, or any of the other podcast platforms, or on the JNS YouTube channel, please like and or subscribe to JNS, click on the bell for notifications, and give us good reviews. Please write to us at thinktwice@jns.org and let us know where you listen or watch the show and what you think about it. And remember, keep reading and thinking for yourself.